Hello, everyone. I am Shelley Dressel, and tonight I'm going to be channeling the Universal Light Beings. I do this every couple of weeks or so, and I'll stream it live on YouTube, Facebook, and Rumble. You can also find any follow-up replays on all three of those channels. And then I also have Crystalline Transformations, which is my website, and I will post it on my website. So you can find me in a number of different ways. I originally started this channeling with the Goddess of Creation, and I have meditations. So that's through Goddess Light, and that'll be next Monday, coming up Monday. And then the next time I do this will be 2 weeks from today, which will be right there close to, if I'm thinking correctly, the actual Lion's Gate. Let's see here. Nope, it'll be afterwards. It'll be the 13th. Okay, so anyway, I'm just... you could look for the next time I do any of these channels, just look through my websites and you can get all that information there. Or I'm on Telegram. I'm on there almost every day, and Facebook every day. So those are other places that you can kind of reach out to me if you would like to. So thanks, Terry. Good to see you again. We have a great group of people here. I really, really appreciate you all. Some of you have been here for many, many years, and I truly appreciate that. And this is about us as a community. You know, when I channel, I'm bringing through information, and I'm bringing, you know, energy and stuff like that. So with the channeling, it's not just the words that they're saying, it is the energy that goes behind the words. So everything kind of works together with one another, and you can go away from this even if you think, well, I've heard that before, but it's downloading into you in an energy that is more consistent with what our energy is right now, or you know, at this current time, because as you know, it is all changing. Something came up on here. I don't know what that is. I don't know. Oops. Strange. I don't know if it'll be on the recording. There's a little box of some printing or information that popped up, and I have no idea what that's about. But anyway, so if y'all see it, let me know. Otherwise, maybe it just came up on mine for some reason. You know, they're always changing how this works, and I'm just trying to keep up with it. As you know, for those of you that got my email, I explained it more in the email, but last time, between doing the channeling, looking for the words, and I had to have it posted there so that I could highlight it and put it underneath my name, underneath me, so that people could read the questions. I ended up just being completely wiped out, shaking, emotional, you know, and I just said, okay, I'm not going to do that again. So, oops, I need to turn my ringer off. Give me just a second here. But anyway, so that's why I decided, I mean, I can reach down and look at this and check it off, because I had everyone write in. And so I've got the questions that everyone asked, but I'm just not going to go and look on the right-hand side here, because I don't know. It just didn't turn out very well. When I went back and I watched it, I said, okay, it looks okay for watching it. But the way that I felt at the end of it, from channel down, channel down, channel down, it just didn't work very well. Hey, Diane, good to see you. Judy, Patty, Soul Mirror, all of you, great to see you. Thank you for being here. So anyway, we're going to try it this way, and let's see how this all works out. Now then, I had just one last thing to say. Okay, if anyone is here and this is the first time that you're here, of course, welcome also. But as a channeler, that means I speak with people, beings that tonight is the Universal Light Beings, and so Albayon is from Arcturus, Brysentia is from Pleiades, and then Cristallia is from the Omniverse. And I try to spend a little time with each one of them. Now, for these questions today, there's a ton, like, I don't know, maybe 8 or 9 for Albayon. So he may not talk as much, so that he can spend more time on the actual questions that people are asking. But I just know that we are here in this very, very pivotal time, this very exciting time. And I'm just, hey, Leslie, good to see you. And so anyway, I just wanted to share that I'm very excited about everything. And did you guys see my, I did a ULB mini yesterday with Albayon talking about the Lion's Gate. And in that, he said, something's coming, something's coming. And I really feel that in my energy, like something's coming, something's coming. I think we're just really about to have a lot of things happen in this day and age. So it's exciting. I'm happy to be here. I'm happy to see, whatever it is that comes through, because it's just a really cool time. Okay, so, you like the mini, Judy? Thank you very much. I appreciate that. And so Gwen is from Adelaide, Australia. Thank you. We do get people from around the world. I frequently have someone in here from Sweden. We get several from the UK, Netherlands, just all over the place. So that's all very exciting. So just giving you a heads up too, the end of August, I'm going to be out of commission for a couple of weeks. I'm taking vacation. And so I'm doing the ULB on the 13th. And after that, it'll probably be a month before I do the next ULB again, because I'm just going to be out of town. And excited about that. I haven't taken a big vacation in many, many years, like 10 or 15. So this is going to be good. I'm going on one of the Viking cruises in Europe and going to see some of Amsterdam and all over the place. So I'm excited. It'll be fun. All right. Well, everybody's here. So I'm just going to go ahead and jump in. Oh, I did want to throw this in here. Give me a second. If anyone is interested in sharing a donation or giving me a donation, I really appreciate that. Thank you very much. There is the link for that. And you can look at that. Okay. Greetings. It is I, Cristallia. I wanted to be the first one to speak with you at this time because of the really transitional vibration that's taking place in the energy of this planet. I am here, as you know, to help to foster the vibration and the frequency of love. I am here to help to anchor those energies that are not accustomed to being on the earth plane, but that are going to be a part of the future of the earth plane. So as I was getting ready to come in here and speak, I was thinking about what it is to be human. You're here, you're the physical person that you are. Around you in the non-physical energy, you have your emotions, you have your thoughts and your beliefs, and then you have what you call your spiritual body. And as humanity, you're very accustomed to thinking about, oh, that's a belief system or that's a thought process. You're very accustomed to knowing, oh, these are the emotions that I am feeling. But then when you start talking about spirituality, that's where it begins to get quite, you cannot define it as easily. For some people have that belief that the spirituality is everything that was just mentioned, physical, mental, emotional, and then the link to your soul. Others think of it as it's just that non-physical, or non-humanistic aspect that brings in more than just being human. That I don't think I explained that very well, but you know what I mean. It's hard for you to define spiritual, and it's only really been about the last 20 to 25 years that people began to think of spiritual as something other than religious, because religion has played such an important part of the evolution of humanity on the earth plane. When you look down through the thousands or millions of years in which humanity has lived on this planet, it wasn't always the same as what you have right now. There are many things within your religions that are skewed to be something different than to have it be manipulated by mankind in the background, as opposed to what is the pure energy behind it. So this is why, as we talk about spirituality, it needs to become more comfortable for people to talk about something that is very non-defined. In essence, your spirituality is the reflection of your soul as it is manifested within you. Each one of you have your own unique soul. You have your own unique alignment to your soul. And that is the foundation of who you are. It was from your soul that you decided, okay, I'll have these two parents, I'll have these experiences, and this is going to be my life on earth, to give it like the outline, you could say. So you wouldn't be here without your soul. You wouldn't be here without your spirituality. But with humanity having come through this cycle of things that are filled with control and manipulation, your spirituality is something that either A, many people don't trust it or believe in it, or B, they just see it as a reflection of control and manipulation, as it was done through the various churches that people went to. I am not dissing people's churches. I would want each one of you to always follow that which resonates with you. But I can say that the religions, as they are called, are an interpretation of spirituality. And that interpretation is what came down by particular humans that wanted to control and manipulate. So when we start talking about spirituality, we're talking about the uniqueness. We're talking about that which is way bigger than you as the person in this lifetime. You're talking about your direct link into the universe. And as a universal light, or as a universal energy, that's where you have access to way more things that you might consider abstract, such as telepathy, such as that inner knowing, that intuition. It is just automatic, and you never doubt it. It's just there. You just have that inner knowing. These are two things that are becoming more and more available to people on Earth. It is also, when you talk about that universal energy, and you know that you come from this soul, this essence that is the true you, that is the part of you that says, well, of course you can do everything that you want to do. Of course you are immensely abundant in this lifetime. Of course, all of these things that you think you might not be able to do, or that are not available to you, even though they might be available to someone else, it is all available to you. It is all for you. It is all the reflection of you in this lifetime. So as you can imagine, as millions and billions of people are tapping into that soul energy, or that spiritual energy, then they're not going to let anybody tell them that they are less than. They're not going to let anybody try to shove them into that box again and try to get them to live within the box, because each person will know for themselves who they are. Now, the other key component to this is that in your spiritual energy, when you are aligned with your God source, it's not there as being better than or worse than someone else. It's about cooperation. It's about working together with one another. It's about truly understanding that each of you, when you see yourself and know yourself as your soul, as your God self, then that's how you see and interact with everybody else. The phrase Ansaluia, this is essentially what it means. So when people address each other or begin or end with Ansaluia, you are bringing in that soul spiritual frequency and allowing it to become a part of any interaction that you have with someone else. It is also you acknowledging, yeah, I know I am. I know I am this huge soul. But so are you. And I see it in you, and I know it in you. And that soul to soul is how I want to be in relationship with you. So that kind of helps to transcend everything out of your everyday human reality and allow you to create and manifest in that big, huge spiritual energy. Okay, so how is this all coming about with you right now? What does it mean to you right now? It means that you are now, as the human, learning how to integrate these very expanded, light-filled spiritual energies. And as you expand it, the number one way that it opens up to you is your intuition. Your intuition is sitting up here in the frequencies right outside of you. And it's a mixture of your soul and your human person. And that is the one that drops down into you. Make a left here, go a different way home. It's telling you when you're already at the grocery store, don't forget to pick up such and such, even though you think you have it at home. It's what's telling you, pay attention when you're communicating with so-and-so today. It's giving you those insights. It's helping you to know how you can live your life in your highest and best ability. Now, many of you have heard this for a very long time, and you talk yourself out of it, or you ignore it, or you just don't let it come into or be a part of you. But you can, let's see here. But you can absolutely utilize it to the best of your ability and in whatever way is most helpful to you. The more that you trust it, the stronger it will be, the more insights you will receive. And then after you begin trusting and listening to your intuition, you will suddenly recognize when you're with somebody else that's really open like that the two of you are having the same thought, or the two of you, one person calls the other because you've been thinking about each other at the same time and you both hear it. That's like step one of telepathy. And then that will go even further, and you may actually hear thoughts and perceptions. For example, you're listening to someone at a business meeting and they're talking about things, and you'll know, oh, that person's not being truly authentic. That person doesn't believe what they're saying. That person is really saying XYZ. And this is how you are utilizing and working with your spiritual energies so as to more fully support you in your everyday life. Okay, now, what else is coming up that's new is the crystalline aspect of things. Now, the crystalline vibration has not been present on the earth plane prior to about year 2000. After that, you began to have more and more frequencies that were coming in that were associated with the crystalline energies. So what does that mean to you? That is a frequency that goes all the way into your physical reality, that changes your physicality so that you can vibrate at a higher level. That's the nuts and bolts of it. So then the question is, well, how does that look to me? How does that feel to me? How it feels to you is that the literal DNA, the crystalline energy works through your DNA, the literal DNA within your physical body, in the blood cells that communicate with the muscles, that communicate with the bones, that communicate with everything else within you, that transitions through what is being shared with your physical body in your bloodstream that's from your DNA. And then that in turn moves into your thoughts and your beliefs. That also goes into your emotions. So there may be people that might get stuck in emotions sometimes. Maybe it's depression. Maybe it's fear and anxiety. If you begin to say, well, you know what? Let me just bring in a crystalline light. Let me just step into my spiritual energy of expansion and love and awareness. And let me see if I can't transition that fear, that anxiety, that depression, whatever it may be that you're feeling. And you will begin to recognize a change is taking place within you. So many of these changes are very subtle because they're at a cellular level, but as it moves further and further through you, it will begin to show up in every other part of your life. So as you're aware of it, you can then work with it so that it works to the best of your ability. And if you are not familiar with it, if you are not working with it, it's still going to be going on in the background. But when you have things that are working with you from your unconsciousness, it just takes it longer for it to get through. It takes it longer for you to have a greater understanding. It just takes it longer for all the different ways in which this manifests, for it to manifest in your everyday reality. Now then, since the July 21st, the summer and winter solstice, depending on where you live, since that time, that is when you really turned a corner in the ascension process. Let me back up. It was 2012 that you truly stepped into the fifth dimension. It was about 2020, 2021 that the third dimension was literally cut off, and it took it 2 years after that for it to be absorbed into the fourth dimension. So this is not to say this is the first stepping stone you've had. You've had many, many very positive, very transitional changes that have taken place over the years. This is but another very significant one, because with it came light codes, and those are the energies that are going into your DNA, that are activating those aspects, that are expanding your spirituality, that is bringing in the crystalline. You see how everything works with one another. And since that time, you will see it manifest in other ways. It's going to manifest through the political things happening. It's going to manifest through the consciousness of humanity. It's going to manifest through each one of you personally. So when it comes to, just a brief note on when it comes to codes, these codes are coming in from the central sun, and they come down through your own physical sun. Some of them are coming from stars and planets. So they're coming from different locations, and everything comes in as if it's an impulse that is coming into your planet. And then as Gaia receives this, or as the planet receives this, it too is making adjustments so that it can create balance and stability whenever anything is happening. Now, it may seem as if there are times when things are very unbalanced, and indeed there's a lot going on right now, but this is where you need to make that step where you disconnect from your everyday reality of what's happening and take a look at the earth, at the planet itself, and take a look at humanity, and take a look at the many, many, many beings that are working with humanity. And that is when you will know that, okay, there's a lot of unrest at the moment, and there's this going on in my personal life, or there's this going on around the planet. But I know, because I can see it, feel it, understand it, that this is all just the pieces that are falling into place. And therefore, I'm going to choose not to get caught up in it. I'm going to choose to remain in the space that allows me my greatest expansion, that allows me to integrate and be a part of that spiritual and that crystalline energy, so that I have the very best life that I can have. How's that for a mantra? Can we make that a mantra? Maybe Shelley will go back later and take that clip out or something, because truly that is something for everyone to just have in your life. And of course, not every single bit of it is going to work out exactly as you think it is. But if you have that as a foundation, then all the many, many different ways in which things will step up to you, you will be able to tell. You will know that this is something, that this means something. Okay, so that was basically what I wished to say. There were not questions for me in this way that Shelley did it. So what I want to do now, as I bring my section to a close, is I'm going to ask every one of you to just take a breath in. Breathe in down deeply into your lungs, into your heart, and breathe and be present within your own self, pulling everything into this moment. And then breathe out, just breathe out, so that as you breathe in and out gently and easily, I ask that each one of you are open to receive the highlight, love, and frequency of your own soul integrated into you through your spirituality, through your crystalline energy bodies, and through all of who you are. I ask you to be open to receive. I ask you to know that you are truly a magnificent being. And if that can become your truth, every day of your life will change. Thank you so much for giving me this opportunity to work with you. It is with such joy that I see these massive changes taking place. And it is because you are all working together as humanity, and you are helping to make this change in a very fundamental way. So thank you, beloved, and Saluia. Greetings, it is I, Albayon. I come to you this evening to speak about these many, many changes that are taking place. One of the things that I wanted to say at the very beginning here is that those people, those motherships, those energies that have been in and around your planet have shifted to a certain degree. I believe we mentioned, was it 1 or 2 months ago, that one of the major motherships had left. There were primarily 3 creating a triangle, how do we do that, around your planet, and all 3 of them created a grid work that supported the planet. And then there were many, many other ships, and some very large ships and some smaller ships that would move in and out of that, going into the planet and out through the various portals. So when that one ship left, it changed the dynamics, so that what you would call your north and south, like the north and south poles, were where the 2 remaining ships were. And since that time, there were 2 more that have come in, not as big as the massive. Now, just for those of you that might not have heard this before, when we talk about the motherships here, we're talking about ships that are multiple levels. And if someone were to just step onto it, you might think it's a planet, it's a continent. Some of these are as big as like the North American continent, up and out. We're talking massive ships where people live on this for lifetime after lifetime after lifetime. And to them, they know that it's considered a ship, but it doesn't feel like it doesn't create that sense of claustrophobic, because other people said, ooh, claustrophobic. No, they understand that they are a part of a mission, and that mission is to help the Earth, in this case, the Earth, to anchor new energies, move to a new place of ascension, and therefore they are all working in and of this. Now, many of these people are the ones that go out onto the ships. Many of these people are growing food for those that are living there. There are many different layers in which they are, and then it spreads out that way. So now there's one kind of at what you would call your North Pole and your South Pole. As these frequencies are in the process of shifting and changing, they are now anchoring in that way. And so here's a very interesting thing that I'm noticing for the first time. Not nearly as big as these 2 motherships, but also very significant ships have come in, so that it's now in the shape of a diamond. So you've got the 2 that are at the top and bottom, and these new ones that came in come out like this, and they are bringing in the higher frequency. One is Andromedan, or a mixture of others plus Andromedan, and then this other one that is on this side, it feels like it's from it feels like it's from, what do you call it? It's a mixture of many different planets and stars, and it's got a mixture of different people on it. And so they have all come in, but their intention and their purpose here is to help with the integration of the energies of the Earth. And they are also the ones that are going to be around for the next 1 to 2,000 years as Earth goes into its next cycle of what's going to be taking place. Okay, I just heard a question. Someone said, will these other 2 ships be leaving at some point? There is a potential that they will be leaving, but the one that's up at what you call the North Pole, that in particular has been with planet Earth from the time in which it has had humanity on planet Earth. So I don't think that one will ever be going any place and at any time. And perhaps that's the same is true for the bottom one. I don't personally go on these ships that much because I have a different work that I'm doing here, but I will be going on the Andromedan. So, okay, just to get, I swear this is so fun to hear people's thoughts as I'm talking about things. So we've got north and south. So would be termed your west is the one from Andromeda. And then the one that is in what you would call your east is the one that is a mixture of different ships, some from another omniverse, some from Alpha Centauri, some from other parts of the universe. As Arcturus, that's another part of the universe, way far away. And so there are Arcturians that are on that one also. But these ships have, how do we say this? It's like they just showed up and they are still in the process of anchoring their energies and interacting with everyone. They were absolutely planned on. It's not that it's a surprise that they showed up. Everything was planned, and everyone knows that this is the next phase or the next level of what's going to be happening with Earth. So it's really pretty exciting when you stop and think about it. Okay, so what did I want to say? Let's see. Let me talk a little bit more. People, one of the questions, or maybe it's a question, maybe it's not, I'm not 100% sure, but maybe it's just as the energy. And as I talked about yesterday, and when I was doing the ULB mini about the Lionsgate and Lionsgate season, so funny, these different phrases that you give these different things or these different time space realities. They said, what is most important about 2025? What's most important about 2025 is that this is the final clearing out of the old energy. And so as you are here in this time of the Lionsgate and the way that the universe has lined up for things, this is a time of really illuminating and showing. And we're talking about all of you that are here, you've been aware of everything that's been going on, but this is about bringing it to the next level so that those that are, how do we say it? Those that are still in the process of awakening, it's going to come to their awareness and they're going to begin to understand a little bit more about what's going on. So that is a part of this season. The Lionsgate is also, as we said, you cannot do anything at this time without each person stepping into and becoming aware of their own divinity, their own soul essence, and how that's going to interact with them in their everyday life. So there was one thing that was said the last time, and then there was some discussion that also came up on one of the social medias where people were saying, well, my friends, my family, my loved ones, they're just so shut down right now. And it was true when, I think it was Brysentia might have said, that they could see that there were many of these people that even when disclosure comes out, they're still not going to believe it. It's going to take time. So I would suggest to you, if you do have these people, if you do work with people, no matter what the relationship is, work with them telepathically, work with them energetically. And it's not about saying, you need to know my belief, you need to agree with me. It's about just being in the light, being in the higher frequency, letting it go between you and that individual so that you have a clear intention that that person will open up and ascend to a higher level of being for their own self, because there are those that still believe that there's going to be a big blast and there'll be millions of people that get wiped off from the planet. That is not going to happen. But there will be many, many more that may just either transition off through, could be illness, could be an accident, could be any number of things. But there are also those that will just struggle and struggle and struggle and struggle instead of having the ability to just step into the higher, lighter frequency, as all of you are learning to do. So just shining the light on them with an intention that they understand, they open, they recognize that change is happening and that they can open to change. That's all you need to do. You don't need to do any more beliefs. You don't need to do anything else, but you can do it to groups of people. You can do it to a country. You can do it to the planet. You can do, each one of you in your own prayers and meditation have the ability to do this with anybody that you would like. And I would say that that is an important way to be able to help open up. Now, we were talking about the Lionsgate, and I went into that. And it is because in the past, people would frequently talk about the Lionsgate, and it was the change several years ago of when they were going into the quantum financial system. And now it's at the place where that's going to be made public. And so there was not only the universal beings, but those that, the white hats, as you call them, they have worked very, very hard, very, very diligently, that things are done so incredibly slowly with enough support being created underneath that you don't just collapse the whole economy. You don't just collapse the whole planet. You don't just collapse the whole country. Because if things had gone immediately back in, when was it, 2018, 2016, what was that, 8 years ago, then you would have had a very different result. It would have caused chaos. It would have led to those big power outages that people talked about. All of these different things that were potentials to happen would have more likely happened if it had gone very quickly like that. So now, as you see things, you are going to hear more and more and more about what's been going on in the background. And during the Lionsgate here, I do believe that there is going to be more knowledge or acknowledgement of the funding that was changing. For those in the United States, they talked about, well, what about the IRS? Is that when I look at it, I see that the IRS has been taken out. However, I know each and every one of you are like, yeah, but they're still taking money out of my paycheck. I still have to pay my taxes. So it's the energy of it has already been set up. It's already there. It's already in place. So what it will take is just that time, that person, that group, to get to that place with everything else that's being dismantled. It needs to just get to that place. And then they will say, oh, by the way, we are no longer doing this. That was only put in place in 1913, and it was not intended to be this way for the country. So we are dismantling it. And here's your money coming back. Now, it does feel like that people are going to get money, that they're going to get it like now within the next 2 to 3 weeks, if not a month. And it feels like there will be multiple, like 2 to 3 checks that people will get, or deposits, or however you do that, that will be, and they're going to call it Doge money coming in, or the tariffs coming in. There's going to be so many different reasons why they're going to say this money is coming back, but that is opening up the door for all of society to understand, well, what's going on? Why are they doing this? And, and questioning it. So that's going to be kind of like, well, I'm calling it step 1, but obviously it's like step 20. But for humanity, for the general public, and for everyone now. And this goes to anyone that pays taxes, anyone that's a citizen. And they are working very diligently to weed out those that are not citizens so that they do not get any of this money. But if they do by some chance, then I see it being taken back from them once it was realized that, hey, by the way, they're not legal. Okay, so I see that happening as a part of this Lionsgate. So be very aware that everybody that the white hats, even the dark hats, they are very aware of cosmic energies, and they use that as means of amplifying and anchoring the things that they have done. So this is why I have a sense of it happening right now during the energy of the Lionsgate and during all these other openings that are taking place. I do feel like there is going to be many announcements. I feel like there are going to be arrests that are made. And once they start with that first one, it's going to be like dominoes, ba-boom, 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 ba-boom. And people are starting to question, haven't they already been taken care of? Yes. Those that were the worst of the worst have already been taken care of, because nobody was going to take a chance of them running around. Nobody was going to give them an opportunity. So once they had the evidence, they captured them and they were dealt with through military means and taken care of. And so for those people, those are the ones that you've been seeing as actors or doubles or something like that. Okay, so I wanted to speak about that. There was something. I'll come back to. I'll just go through these in a minute. But anyway, I believe that that was everything that I had wanted to share about what I saw happening. The fact that there are more of these higher, really high vibrational ships that are coming in. Oh, that was it. Someone had put a thing on here. What are your thoughts on the alien ship that's 12 miles wide heading our way in November? So let me look at that. And even that is smaller than these 4 ships that I talked about, that let's call them the diamond ships. So what is the big ship that's coming in that's about 12 miles wide? When you look at what you're seeing around your planet, you are already seeing more of the ships and more of the maneuvering that's been taking place. That's always been taking place, but now it is becoming much more evident to people, and people are getting it on camera. And so this is something that is becoming much more readily available to everybody. So a 12-mile wide ship in November. I don't feel like it's going to be November per se. I think that there is, okay. As I said that, I could hear someone coming in and saying, oh no, here's what we're talking about. There are a group of non-terrestrials that their whole intent and purpose is to work with humanity on the planet, and they are bringing in more and more of their people to integrate with humanity. Many of these look like humans. Many of these are part of the human race, but there's also a big aspect of them that is not. So this ship that they're talking about coming in, you know, a massive ship, 12 miles wide. That's a pretty big ship. That feels as if it's representing bringing to consciousness and bringing to awareness of people that no, you are not alone, and these are some of the beings that have been helping you, and it feels as if it's going to be a big part of disclosure. As far as, there's a word you guys like to use, I don't know what it is, but it's something like ET. It's not ETs, it's something else. And so that has a potential to show. It is not, I don't think it's going to be until next year that people are very comfortable, meaning all of humanity are very comfortable with talking about ETs, and that they go in and out and, oh, here's my friend, and everything is normal. That's not going to happen this year. So this big ship that might come in November, it feels like it may come in as a means of saying, look, we're here, and then back out. I feel as if there would still be too much fear, anxiety, panic if a ship that size came in and just parked itself. So I don't think it's going to happen in November, but I do see that there's going to be an increase in knowledge and information about non-terrestrials and the ways in which we've been helping humanity, and also the way so much of you are a part of us. That we're just a different aspect of you that's living this lifetime while you're living that lifetime. So it does feel as if there's information that's going to be coming out about that, but it also feels like it's not about telling the entire planet we're all here and we're moving in with you. It doesn't feel like it's time for that yet. I'm just going to go ahead and jump into these other questions now. Will weather manipulation be stopped globally? And if so, when will that happen? Yes, weather manipulation will be stopped globally. It has already been transitioned to a great degree at this time. And I recognize you're saying, no, it's not. Look at what's happening. Look at the earthquake. Look at the floods. Look at all these different things. So I understand. I get that. And there was so much that was put into place by the nefarious ones, and they put them into place many, many years ago, and they programmed things. And even though people have been infiltrating them and they've been trying to take down what they did, there are still certain things that are activating, and then everyone is scrambling to try to minimize it as much as possible. And that's what it feels like many of these things are, that they could have been even worse, but then they minimized it as quickly and as they possibly could. Some of it has been been for them to clear out their own stuff. Others of it have been for people, the white hats or the, the positive people, to try to take down dams and take down areas where nefarious activities were taking place. So much of the weather manipulation has been, it was originated to be control and manipulation and make things hard for people. Over time, the white hats have infiltrated that and tried to backpedal or minimize whatever that effect was, because the black hats could care less how many people got killed. The white hats do their best to minimize that as much as possible. So I believe it's going to be at least 1 to 2 years before you see it gone completely, but I do feel like it's going to be less and less and less over time as far as the extent or the severity of it. Now, I don't remember if this is one of the questions, but let's talk about that earthquake in Russia for a minute there. That was a very, very large earthquake, and it was one that was originally exactly what I'm talking about. It was one that the black hats had set up. They had set like certain frequencies to go in certain places in that part of the world to destabilize the whole entire part of the planet over there between Russia, Canada, even going around as far as China. Just, it's like that upper rim of the planet. And we feel like that one was, number one, it was bad. They were anticipating it, and it could have been any number of different places, but there were also certain dams and certain things that needed to be taken out. And then in addition to that, so what they had wanted to have happen as far as the earthquake goes, it was probably close to, it wasn't quite as bad as they wanted it to be, because the white hats did get in and do their best to minimize it. But they knew that there was a great deal that had to be taken down, because that part of the world was going to become very destabilized, and they needed to collapse it while they could, with a very minimal amount of problems with people. But we do know that it did affect a big area. Now, as for the tsunamis, because they were able to get in towards the end of it, and because it didn't extend all the way around the planet as was anticipated, the tsunamis were not as bad as they were anticipated to be. There were tsunamis. They did hit the various parts of various countries, but it does feel to me as if the intention was it would have been way worse than it was. It does feel like there's some aftershocks, but it's going to be very minimal to nothing after that. Okay, well, we still have a lot of chemtrails in Ontario. Will these end soon? The chemtrails, it's so funny when people keep talking about this, because that was one of the first things that people came out and said, look, whether it's the military or whoever was doing it, it was so obvious, and it made such a significant difference that whenever I look at it, I think, oh, that's already been taken care of. That's already been taken down. But yet I hear from various people around the world that, oh, no, it's still there. And I feel sick when I see these chemtrails. So whatever's going on is the residual of the black hats, and it's whatever peons are thinking that they're in charge, or they're thinking that they have the ability to keep doing this thing. And so it is on its very last leg, and it's going to become less and less a way. I don't feel that okay, how can I say this? So we all know, we all agree, the worst of the black hats are all gone. They've been gone for 5 to 8 years. That's done. And then through that, new people said, oh, now I'm in charge. They've been taken out. Oh, now I'm in charge. That level's been taken out. I mean, we're talking many, 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 many levels. And you are down to the last 1 to 2 levels. And also, and you know, with any pyramid, you had a lot more people that were the peons that were doing all the work for these other people. So it's been taking time to gather up those and to take them out. So I do feel that all that is left is maybe 1 to 2, at the very, very most, and this is really stretching it, 4% of all of the black cats. So that's really a very small percentage compared to others. Now, you may think it's more than that. You may see that, oh no, but look at all this over here. Well, those are the ones that are acting. Those are the ones that are not the legitimate people. So those that are the actual true dark cats that have not yet been rounded up is a very, very small percentage of the whole. And so these chemtrails will be completely they will go away completely once the last of those, I keep calling them peons, I don't know what else to call them, have been rounded up and completely removed. When is that going to be? I just see less and less and less of the chemtrails. It should be within about 5 to 6 months, a year at the very most. But when I say a year, I get a loud no from that. So I feel that they should be gone completely within 5 to 6 months. Okay. I'm hearing lots of expectations of big change coming imminently. Disclosure. Okay, I already talked about that. I listened recently to a channel about 3 days of darkness, essentially not to be feared. Correcting the Earth's rotation. So when it comes to the disclosure, 3 days is at the very most, but I don't even see 3 days. I feel like, again, as I can't even remember who was talking about it. As we were talking about earlier in the channel, when they said how we've done this so very, 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 very slowly, and we have all of the foundation that's already ready to come up and stabilize and be in place, I think that would keep you from having 3 days of darkness. There are those that still say 10. Can you imagine? Back in 2017, 18, it was 10 days. So to go from 10 days down to 3 days, down to none, is just showing you how the evolution of all this is taking place. And what will happen is the disclosure is still being leaked out bit by bit by bit. And there are so many of you now that are, what do you call them? The warriors? Whether we call you Anons, those of you that are already aware, that you already know what's going on, there are just so very many of you that it's easier and easier to leak information, and it's going to get to everybody. When it used to be literally billions of you are now aware of this. I know you might say, no, maybe millions, but not billions. Yeah, I think at least a billion planet-wide are aware of what's going on. So you leak something out there, now you have all these people reposting and reposting and reposting. Even if others don't believe it, they're seeing it. It's going into their unconsciousness. So I believe that there's already been a lot of disclosure, and it's just going to continue to get more and more and more. And there will come a time when they have everything listed, but that'll be after the first arrests. That'll be after they've said these people are gone. Obama's going to be the first one, and it feels like Nancy Pelosi's going to be the next one. It feels like Clinton, they're going to pull up Clinton and all of those because they're under Obama. There's so many things. It's like Obama is right up here and everything is going to be listed under him. And it feels like that's the route they're going to choose to take. It may be different. It may, have other things going on, but they've already started that, and they're just going to continue, and it'll just grow bigger and bigger and bigger. So I don't think there'll be 3 days of darkness. I do think that there will come a time when they'll have everything listed in black and white and people can look at it. Will they force it on everybody? There's a potential, but if they do, maybe 12 hours or something like that. It does not feel like it would be something very, very long and enduring, because that would be shoving it into people that don't believe, and that would just make them more resistant. That would just make them more angry. But it is going to come out in a way that it is available to everybody. And so I think that's how they're going to do that, instead of as it was described here. Long predicted significant New Madrid earthquake has yet to happen. Do you see if there's going to be one? Is it necessary for the earth changes? Madrid has a lot of domes underneath it, and it feels like they are taking out a lot of those domes, and it looks like it's fairly stable right now. It feels like if there's going to be an earthquake, it's minimized compared to what it was. And I feel as if isn't it August when a lot of the people leave the towns, leave Madrid or go on vacation or something? It feels like it happens at a time when many people are gone. They're not there. And so there's minimal effect on people. There's minimal death and problems and suffering and stuff like that. So yes, I do see there's a potential there will be an earthquake. It feels like it could be as quick as this month, but it feels like what other people were talking up on was something that was going to happen a while ago, and that got shifted. The energy got changed and things got transformed, and they took care of whatever they needed to do. But it does feel like there's still places that need to be cleared out. And so if there's an earthquake or flooding, it feels like either one of those things are about getting rid of the domes that are underneath the city. Could you give us some insight into Canada right now? Okay. I believe when we looked at Canada a while back, it was like we were looking at a facade, and I see that again. I see a facade again. I feel as if a lot of what's happening in the United States, once that gets resolved, there is going to be this domino effect with many of the other countries, and it because all of these nefarious ones were interrelated to one another. They all work together with one another. So if you're disclosing about one, you can't do that without them realizing this and this and this and this is also part of the same group. And so it feels like Canada does already have something in place that's kind of rising up that will step up, that will stabilize the government, that will stabilize things for people. And so, yes, there will be a disruption. Yes, there will be changes. It feels to me like it's more like 2 to 3 months down the road, although anything like that is very fluid. It could happen much more quickly than that. So, so Canada feels like it's very interesting because there were so many people that were very progressive in Canada and very aware of what was going on. And then it seems like that's kind of flipped a little bit. I'm not sure why that is, but on the whole, there is a lot of light. There's a lot that is creating great stability in Canada. And so that just feels as if that's how those kinds of changes are coming across to me. And that you already have something underlying that's going to step up, and so it will create stability. There will be a time, perhaps several weeks, when people will wonder what's going to happen, is it all going to fall apart? But it doesn't feel like it's going to be much longer than a few weeks. Okay. Governor Ferguson in Washington just signed 2 state holidays into law. Woo, huge storm coming in over here. There was a big flash of lightning and thunder. Okay, 2 state holidays that are Sharia law. Okay, and they said this is so depressing. So when we look at this invasion, I think there might have been another question about that. I'm not sure. Oh, about that guy running for mayor. When we look at the whole planet, and not even right now, we see about 5 times during the history, this group of people have tried to take over the entire planet. And this is but another wave of them trying to do that. And what is happening right now is that people are becoming very, very aware of that Okay, again, I always feel like I have to clarify. There are so many that are just, beautiful, wonderful people that may follow this religion. We're talking about the radicals. We're talking about the fanatics, and those are the ones that are the problems. And just the sheer volume of people that have moved in. Many of these are the NPCs, and so they will just kind of disappear at some point. But they're here now as a means of, it's so interesting when you watch the pendulum of people's belief systems go. And what you've come to realize is that that pendulum is actually affected by people with an agenda. So the agenda that the previous people that were in charge in the United States was to destabilize the country by diversifying to such a degree that there was no one strong set or group of people there, and also to bring in all the illegal citizens or aliens, so that could also create instability. And what's going to happen from this, and what you already see happening, is that there's a light shining on all of this, and that many of these things that are brought in to create instability are still, that pendulum is still swinging that way to a certain degree. But as it comes back into balance, many of these things that are happening right now will be transitioned or will be shifted, and they will not take place. The bottom line is, and it's something, for those of you that do step into fear, it is a significant threat to the entire planet, these people that want to take over. And you thought the cabal was bad. These people are not even a part of the cabal, or there could, at some points in history, they've been one of the tools that they used, but these people are equal to or worse than the cabal. We're talking about these fanatics that say this is the only way, and it's our way, and it's control and manipulation. Well, what are you doing? You're getting rid of control and manipulation. So this is one of the things that will change, but it's rising up at this time for everyone to see, for everyone to recognize, and everyone to say, I'm not going to go along with that radical reality. I'm not going to let myself be controlled or manipulated by anyone else. And again, we remind you, the more that these higher vibrations come in, the less people are going to be willing to go along with that. And therefore, it's going to help to push that out and help to bring it down. So I think that it is going to change it. Now, as to these 2 state holidays, yes, they're there, but I just see some point down the road that either that, because it gets to the point where they have these holidays and things, and people just, it's just a day off, and they don't really give it the energy of following a certain holiday. But to me, it feels like that's going to, they're going to go away at some point. Okay. Whew, I'm getting very tired. Let's see. What is the energy behind XRP at the moment? It seems as if it's gaining traction. Thank you. So it's very important to be aware of these changes that are taking place in your currency. You have gotten rid of the fiat currency, as it was called, or the petrol currency, or that which was based in as a part of the central bank. And as that has all gone away, you are going into a digital way of doing it, but that digital is part of the blockchain, is part of the quantum. It is all part of, it's a new way of looking at everything and valuing everything. It's now going to go back on the value that is based on gold and minerals and things like that. And I only say this because XRP itself is doing very well, but there are many other that you call the cryptocurrencies that are going to go by the wayside. So it's important for you to understand what is digital, what is blockchain, what is gold back versus what is crypto, what is petrol, what is, the various ways in which they say is what they say is backing the dollar or whatever currency is for your country. So so let me just look at XRP again specifically. I felt like I needed to explain that so so that you would understand where I'm coming from. So I've always felt that XRP was one of those that was going to be able to survive to go into the next level of the quantum financial system. And it looks strong to me now. And I agree that it is doing well. But I feel that once all of this is completely transitioned, there will be several that will go away completely. And then there will be others that may change their name. And there will be others that will consolidate into less. Because right now, I mean, as I look at it, it's almost like there's 15, 20, or, maybe even 50 or more. There's a lot. And so there will be a consolidation and there will be a transition that takes place. But this one has always, from the time it was started, has always felt like it had a solid foundation, and it is one that can be trusted. This is not me giving a recommendation on what you should do financially. This is me just reading this energy of this one that someone has asked me about. Disclaimer, exactly. All right. Well, thank you so much for sharing this time with me this evening. It is always a joy to be here, to be a part of this, and know that we're always with you, and we're coming in closer and closer and closer. Ansaluia. Greetings. It is I, Brysentia. I come to share some time with you, and I did want to mention, just because people come in later, Shelley is only doing questions that were sent in advance, because last time it was really hard energetically to try to be in both places at once and to split that consciousness. So I am here to talk about what it is that's happening on this planet. Now, I can speak more about this earthquake that was up in Russia. It was actually on a fault line, and indeed it was intentionally set to go off, and it was amplified and manipulated. But this was also a part of the shift in the poles. With the shift in the poles, the energy, it's like you're talking about an energy that went in one direction per se, and now you're flipping it and it's going to be going in another direction. But this is happening over many hundreds of years, and so it's very, very slow and gradual. But I feel, and I wanted to share, that this earthquake, although it was amplified and it was made worse than it could have been, was also going to be a natural occurrence because of the shift and the change in the magnetic poles of the earth. So there is still manipulation going on. There is still that which, the nefarious ones might try to do. And then you have the white hats coming back trying to minimize it as much as you can. And let me just share with you, there are many of us from the non-terrestrials that were also a part of going in and anchoring and balancing and doing our best to try to minimize anything that takes place. So, so be aware that yes, the nefarious ones are still doing their shenanigans, but also the planet, with this raise in vibration that's taking place, is shifting in such a way that that there would also be normal occurrences. Okay, now let me see. I wanted to share about, someone asked a question, and I'm just going to integrate it into this part, talking about the Hawaiian Islands. Will they be okay and safe? Will they be sunk or with the tsunamis? Well, obviously, no, they're not going to be sunk from a tsunami. The Hawaiian Islands are going to stay there. But since I'm talking about these various places around the planet, let me just take a minute and look at like these Pacific islands. There's the Hawaiian Islands, which is obviously a bigger chain, but then there's all the Polynesian islands. There are many, many, many islands around this planet, and some of them were just created through these various shifts and changes that took place, and others of them have been here for very ancient times. So, there was a time, probably about 15 or 20 years ago, when there was actually a torpedo. There was a missile of some sort that was going in and trying to take out the big island with its volcano, to erupt the volcano, to do something catastrophic like that. So when people talk about this, they might be tapping into an energy of something that was intended by the nefarious ones, and then the negotiations, different things happened, and that was dispersed, and they did not have it, although there was an earthquake out in the ocean that did send some tsunamis to various places. So things like that have been going on for a very, very, very long time, but you will see less and less of that as things calm down, as things move into, as the time and everything that's happening here moves into the future. Gaia herself is becoming stronger and stronger, you could say, in certain ways, because the higher vibrational frequencies are what is intrinsic within Gaia. When you go into the center of the earth, when you go into Lemuria and these other places that were at one point on the surface that sank into the center, that is the higher, lighter vibrational frequency of this planet. So you can imagine then how things had to drop down as people began having this experience. So Gaia herself has been living this duality. And as the vibration is starting to rise up now, there will be a lot more consistency in the inner parts of the planet and the outer parts of the planet. The day will come when people will be able to go to the inner earth, not anytime soon, because there's still too much of a discrepancy in the vibration and frequencies. But there will be those that will be invited to go to the to go into the earth, and then there will be those that might ask to go into the center of the earth. But I don't see that happening for at least 50 to 75 years. Maybe sooner, I don't know. But what I'm trying to say here is that think about what Gaia is representing and how I'm talking about how she's had that diversity. She's had that really low vibration in certain places, really high vibration in certain places. And she, just as each one of you are your own soul, has been living and breathing and expressing as she allowed humanity to have all these many, many, many different experiences upon her surface and within her. So when we talk about Polynesian islands or some of these other islands, there may be some that at some point will go away, but I do not see any catastrophic tsunamis. I don't see anything that is going to just wipe out an entire island, or especially like when you look at Japan, when you look at Hawaii, when you look at these and Polynesia, these many islands in Polynesia. So as you're looking at all of those, there may be times of flooding, there may be times of tsunamis, but there's not going to be anything that completely wipes it out. Again, had the nefarious ones stayed in power, I would be saying something totally different. But with the higher frequency, with the greater balance that is coming in, that is not something that is going to happen. I wish to also talk about the non-terrestrials that are coming in that are making themselves known. As more and more people are talking about the transitioning that's taking place on the planet, as they're bringing up the information and as they're sharing with individuals about what was happening in the with the nefarious ones and how that's going to change, there will be such a massive and very rapid change in the consciousness of the planet. There is history that has been taken from your memory, not by us, but by those that when they incarnate, they called it, the veil, or they would disconnect you, the perception that you're disconnected from your soul, all of these many different things. There is a history of this planet that will become known to people, and that is something that will also help you to understand just how magnificent that you have been, that there have been giants, that there have been dwarfs, that there have been people that lived in underground. There have been people that lived on top. All of these many, many things that you think of as fairy tales have all been based in truth. So that, but of course, think about who wrote them down and why did they write them down. Many, many of these things were written down as a means of controlling and manipulating humanity. So when it all does come out, there have been times of dark history upon this planet. There have been times when there were giants, if you want to call them that, that were there for nefarious reasons. But still, it's important for people to have that knowledge and to have that awareness of what is the truth of your history of this planet. And that is going to be coming out. I think that there are already places where you can see bits and pieces of it, but probably within about 20 years or so, there will be computers that you can go to, and it will be somewhat linked to AI, but you can scroll through and say, oh, this is what happened, then this is what happened, then this is what happened. And this is when they're going to take out all the filters and they're going to take out the misrepresentation of things. And it will also help you to understand, because indeed, when you look at those magnificent cathedrals and these massive buildings and things that are in various parts of the world, but yet humanity at that time was very simple and, didn't have cars or computers or anything. Things just don't line up. So this is when a lot of that will make more sense to you and a lot of that will come out. There are more and more people that are going to be coming, like Pleiadians, myself included. Pleiadians in particular look very much like humans. We have the same physique. We might be taller. Our features might be different. Our skin color might be different, such as blue. But there are many of us, especially the Nordics, that have that same pale skin and the long hair, etc. So that eases into society a lot more easily than someone that looks completely different than you. So you are going to see more of an integration of non-terrestrials, but the type that look more like you and act more like you and can communicate like you. And these are the ones that will be introduced from the presidents, from the different heads of the countries. They will be introduced in this way. If it were to happen today, there's still fear. It would still bring up fear because it's been entrained within you to be afraid of ETs, and that was a means of controlling and manipulating people. But we are coming into society. We're integrating into society. The vibration was too low for many of us to be there for any long period of time. But with the change, the transition that's just taken place since the solstice, it's now getting to a level where we can manifest and we can live here much more easily. Some of you may find that your loved ones that have transitioned, that are living in that, Pleiadian, Arcturian, in that other type of existence through their soul essence, may be able to come back in and be present and be a part of your life again in a physical form, because they're coming back in as this new ascended person. In the past, the intention was to populate the planet. So people only came in if they came in through like a birth process. But there were times before that people would come in and out and they were already grown and adults, and that's what's going to happen again. And that's when there'll be ships that come in, there'll be transports that come in, and there'll be groups of people that come to live on Earth, not only to help with bringing in new technology, but also to help with transitioning out some of this old. Because you think that the more that you get into this, it's so hard to be around those lower vibration. Can you imagine when you get someone that's coming in? And again, some of these may be other aspects of you. You may be meeting yourself as your cosmic aspect. So again, I just put this out there as potential. This is not a potential. This is absolutely going to happen. But I put this out there that you may potentially see people that you already have known or loved in this lifetime, or another aspect of you that's coming in to support you. Anything that is being done like this will be done for the betterment of the whole. It will be done to create greater stability on the planet, and it will be done to help advance consciousness as people are living in this new higher frequency. So that's really exciting, is it not? All right, let me just look at some of these questions, and we'll see if we can do this. A cousin was warning me a few years ago about a dream that predicted that all of, oh, wait a second. Were there 2 messages about the Hawaiian Islands? There were 2 messages about that. How about that? So this was someone that had lived in Hawaii, and he moved to the mainland because of that. Yeah, Hawaii is going to be fine. And then here was another one that said, will the Hawaiian Islands be okay? Too funny. What is going to happen to the people that were involved in the mass migration of Muslims? We were just talking about that. Isn't that funny? Sorry, things have changed up here. I don't know what that is. What is going to happen to all the people in the mass migration? So the Sharia law is, I want to go back in and I want to look at that from where it originated and why it is there. The Sharia law I see as going back directly into the Anunnaki that were the nefarious ones, and I see it going directly back into Satan and those satanic energies. The Satan, the vibration of Satan, and that which is known as Satan or the devil or whatever word you want to give for it, that has been on the earth plane since before the times that the reptilians came in. That's been here for a very, very, very long time. It was kicked out of a place, but it got in here and infiltrated before it was known. I'm not looking at that right now, but that is the energy. And the nefarious Anunnaki were the ones that were behind the original Sharia law. Because again, that was also coming from the Middle East. So with this Sharia law, can we go into, is there anyone that is taking them down from their center, from their core? Yes. Yes. They are being dismantled from the core that is over in the Middle East, and that whole, what do you want to call it, organization is going to be dismantled. It is not yet happening because it is still serving a purpose, and that purpose is to show that what is going on here and what the intention was and how it's going to have an impact on things. So that it will be dismantled, it will go away, but I cannot give you a specific time, date, reality, because it has literally been entrained in that part of the world for many thousands of years. What can we do about this? Okay, I'm being shown that there are a group of non-terrestrials that are working specifically with that, and they are working with the ancient energies. They're working with that which brought it in, and they're working to dismantle not only the energy, but the frequencies of what stimulated it throughout the years, because this has wreaked havoc on the planet. Like we said earlier, Albayon said at least 5 different cycles of time. And it is going to be dismantled. It is going to be removed. And when it is removed, then many of these will just kind of disappear, or it will be removed in one way or another. So I see that it could be 6 months to a year, but before it is 100% gone. But I do feel as if the more that people are aware of it and where it's coming from, the more that it will, the faster it will go. for example, when you give that energy to it of, oh, we're aware of it, it's being dismantled, it needs to go away, that just helps it to go that much more quickly. But there is quite a large group that is working with it in the core energies, and these are time travelers that are going between time, space, reality, going back to the very first origins and timing and coming up into this now, so that they can dismantle this at every single level, at every single time in which it had a worldwide effect. Okay. There's been a great deal of human trafficking that is still going on, not to the degree of what it was. This is being dismantled at the same time too, but there are still problems in various parts of the planet. And it feels like once this has been really dismantled and taken out, then it's almost like that dries up suddenly and is gone. There has been a lot of mind control that has taken place, where these nefarious people have used mind control on the police in these various areas, on the communities, trying to say, oh, this is okay, this is normal, this is, you know, don't worry about this. And that is something that needs to be broken. And as these ETs are working with this, then that's going to also help to break down that mind control. And like this governor, the one running for mayor, all of these different places. I mean, if you look at Great Britain, they have many, many, many there. I just see all of it as just kind of breaking apart and breaking open. Now, if you want something to do, you can certainly send the impulse of light to illuminate that is resolved, that is dismantled, that is taken apart, all the way down to its cellular memory in all time, space, reality. And that will, of course, help to amplify that. Okay, I think that's it. Those are all the questions. We're not reading the questions here anymore because it was so hard. Last time, as Shelley was going back and forth this way, you know, she's not scrolling up and down and having to process. So this way, it seemed to work out better tonight. We'll see how she is when we're done channeling. But we all three love humanity so very dearly. We are all three very, very pleased to have been a part of this from way back before it was much more common knowledge. But understand that it's each one of you that make the difference. It's each person choosing to be in their spiritual self, choosing to make a life for themselves, to create a life for themselves where the foundation is love and joy and exciting potentials. The energy continues to transition. It becomes lighter and lighter and lighter and more crystalline. So be very clear in your thoughts and your beliefs. Be very clear in your intentions as you are working with people. Of course, you're going to get mad. Of course, you're going to get frustrated. Of course, you're going to be pulled down. But stay there for as little as possible and make a clear intention that you come back to center, back to balance, and let that be what you radiate out to all. Because it does make a difference. And it is you that are providing this ascension for the earth. We're all here in support of you, and we love you dearly. Ansaluia. Whew. Wow. Okay, this is Shelley back again. Man, lots and lots of stuff said tonight. I don't remember it, as always. It'll come back to me bit by bit. But I did feel as if I was able to stay in channel more easily since I was just looking at one place to look at the questions. So you guys let me know, give me feedback in wherever you're listening to this, and let me know if this worked out, you know, how this worked out for you this time. But anyway, thank you so much for following. Thank you for being here. I truly appreciate all of you. If this is new to you, be sure to subscribe and whatever, get notifications, whatever those things are. But anyway, thank you so much, and I'll see you later. Bye-bye.